The regular board meeting of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners. It is Wednesday, July the 8th, 2026. And I would ask that you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for joining us today. Next on our agenda would be adoption of the current agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the current agenda as printed.
I'll second that. Any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The agenda is adopted as presented. That brings us to public comment. Is there anybody in the room for public comment? If there is, if you'd please come, and you would have 3 minutes for public comment. Mr. McCart.
Thank you, Commissioners. This morning, I just wanted to get up here and Wes McCart, Planning and Building Economic Development Director, just wanted to make an announcement for you gentlemen and the public that will be listening to this. As part of the comp plan update, we're doing an environmental impact statement. So I've issued the determination of significance for the EIS, or the Environmental Impact Statement scoping. This is to look at different alternatives in the comp plan and what effect they would have on the environment and the surrounding communities. We will be holding a scoping meeting here on July 14th, so next Tuesday night, or this coming next Tuesday night, from 6 to 8 p.m. right here in this room. You are invited to come. I invite the public, and we will be taking comments on scoping until August 5th of 2026. So that's all I have. Thank you. Public comment.
Good morning, gentlemen. I watched a very exciting evening last night of political choices in our county. And one of the questions we asked those running for sheriff is, would they uphold a resolution with ordinance for a sanctuary Bill of Rights county? I've sent you all a very nice video of a county commissioner that did this in Florida. It is not unsimilar in this state. The difference of state is not any, because we align ourselves with the supreme law of the land. Never again will we have our Bill of Rights taken from us as it was in COVID. You have a beautiful resolution. You have resources. I'm calling on you to redress those grievances that have been taken from us and will be taken from us again if we do not defend them. I want Franklin County to be the most safe county to live in. And the response of the people, your constituents, was very strong. Gentlemen, let's have a workshop. Let's talk it over. Let's be movers and shakers, and when this legislative session starts, we're in the proactive, the offensive position. The counties are the ones that formed the state from territory. The counties are the ones that put together the legislature. The counties are the ones that created this Constitution that has been violated left, right, and center. When I call of our other legislators, well, I have to ask permission of the speaker or the minor representative of this and that. No. A Republican representative form of government is of the people. Public comment is great. It's not enough for us to redress grievances, to right the ship, and we can do it in Washington State. I thank you for your time.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Cole St. Peter, and I am the independent candidate for sheriff of Franklin County. I'd like to thank the Republican Party for not inviting me last night. There's probably a reason for that. With that being said, I'm going to keep things short. I don't have a big platform, and so I'm going to use this. One of my priorities as sheriff, I'm going to just read it word for word so we know. It says, currently, the Franklin County Sheriff refuses to sign MOUs with the Department of Justice to fully participate in the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force program. As your sheriff, Franklin County will participate in the program and prioritize all crimes against children, including internet crimes and the production of child sexual assault material. ICAC is a win-win for all. The agreement will provide the Sheriff's Office with grants, technology, and unique interagency partnerships. The DOJ can charge defendants federally, helping with the influx of our state courts. As your sheriff, we will save our children. Vote for me. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
Good morning, Commissioners. I am Kataspinda, two-tiered takedown, a part of this community. And today, I'm going to read to you a statement or an exhibit written by Denise Brockman with Kids at Heart here locally on Mitch Snow's son, Nate Snow. Nate began talking about his mother. He made direct eye contact with me, and he stated in a serious matter of fact tone, "My mom is mean. She's really, really mean. She likes to manipulate people. She likes to hurt people." There are a furrow between his brow as he frowned. He continued to make direct eye contact with me the entire time he talked. He went on to state, "My dad tells me that my mom has problems. That's why she acts the way she does." I tell him, "Dad, you don't understand. She's mean person." The corner of the child's mouth drooped. His shoulders were slumped down as he talked about celebrating his birthday and holidays. He stated, "My mom said it is selfish to celebrate yourself, birthday, Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day." He stopped talking for a minute and looked at the pillow that he was sitting on the couch. He picked it up and clutched it against his chest. Nate began talking as he was looking at the pillow he held in his hands. He looked at me and stated, "My mom never makes food for me. She just buys already made food like from Walmart." His voice sounded sad when he said, "I didn't care very much, and she, mother, would always throw the food away that my dad would send home with me." He looked at me and stated, "She's a mean, bad person who wants to hurt everyone, especially my dad." I saw my mom push my dad into a glass table one time. She thinks it's fun. She said she is going to take my dad's house. He wrote this 3 years ago, by the way, and I was just in court where she was trying to take his house in that court case. She was trying to get the judge to award the house to her. Nate changed the subject and told me that he had developed a working light switch and explained how he did it. He talked about something else he developed on his own. He was smiling and animated as he tried to describe it to me. And in his own words, I'm gonna probably have to finish this on the next one, "I think it's unfair that you have called me a liar without even knowing me, not even at least seen a picture of me, and that you don't know me and refuse to see evidence, called me a liar. I do not think it's fair." I'll continue.
Good morning, Commissioners. Marcy Torres from Franklin County. Last week, I decided to show up to Mason Pickett's trials, and I will start doing that to every single one of them. You know, what I find is interesting is that ever since I filed the complaint against him, he continues to preside over cases, but he no longer has the whole docket like he used to. He has a case here, a case there. And to my surprise in this trial, I also happen to see that he's falsely accusing a dad of abuse. When he notices that I'm in that trial and I'm watching and I'm documenting, and I will be filing grievances, he changed his statement to say, well, instead of accusing the dad, he was just kind of making a statement and saying, we heard this from X, Y, and Z. The problem that we're seeing where these attorneys and these judges are lying under oath and committing fraud in our courtrooms, it's not okay. So I will be going to every single one of his trials, and I will be filing grievances on every single case that I continue to see that he's doing that on. I'm going to be doing the same thing for every other attorney. Carrie Hales Davenport is one of them on my list because she does this a lot. And guess what? Now Mason Pickett doesn't have the whole docket, but Carrie does. Now she has the whole docket. She has like 5 or 6 different cases per docket where she's using the same tactics of filing false protection orders, claiming false abuse. And we've already seen commissioners that are basically asking her for proof and asking her to have her clients take psych evaluations. So we are seeing changes. Also, over the weekend, I participated at the parade. We did have an incident, obviously, because I'm speaking up about all these things, and there's a lot of people involved that are being affected by the words and the facts that I'm sharing with the community. There was a man that was attacking me from the crowd, and I accidentally did drop an F-bomb while I was going on the parade. And I did apologize, but that's what leadership is about, making it right. It wasn't the right time or the right place, but I apologized about it, and I did the right thing. I also participated in the parade, and I found it fitting to, we can't celebrate freedom without educating our community in what freedom really is. And a lot of our citizens are not being free. They don't have freedom when they're being extorted of thousands of dollars by these attorneys. So I did call Norma Rodriguez out and asked her to resign. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
Good morning, Commissioners. Marie Redout, Tri-City resident. This morning I wanted to prep for what's coming this way soon. We've got so many individuals that are continuing to reach out from all over. I'm getting contacts from the West Side for the same types of behaviors that are happening in the family court here are happening there. And I wanted the judges to remember that the children you're ripping away from one parent, they grow up. They remember you. They remember that they went to you for help through the system, and they were not believed. But at age 15, there's one that's coming up that wants to be able to speak on her own behalf. There's ones that are 30 that didn't realize how they were twisted away until now. And they remember this, and they want you to understand what it did to them and how it made them a victim of all kinds of other things. So a 15-year-old that discloses to her mom at age 10, she disclosed, hey, I'm not comfortable when I go over to Dad's because I get left with the step cousins, and he wants to touch my crotch. And I'm not comfortable with that. But it's part of a game that they're playing as a 14-year-old to an 11-year-old or a 10-year-old saying, hey, I'll trade you this if you let me touch your crotch. Okay, so you go to mom for that, and mom, knowing that you're in the middle of a contentious thing, says, look, you need to talk to your counselor about this. If I say it, it's going to get twisted. So a little 10-year-old then discusses it with the counselor. The counselor then contacts CPS. Then they want to do a forensic interview. But it's been disclosed twice to 2 different individuals about what's been happening when she's left alone in the step family's care. They want to do a forensic interview, but by the 3rd time around, this kid is not ready to, she's like, this is not working. I don't want to talk about this anymore. That interview, forensic interview that should have lasted more than 15 minutes, didn't last more than 15 minutes. And because it got disclosed at that point for the court proceedings, they ended up doing an emergency ex parte parenting plan that then removed time with mom. All she was asking for was, look, don't let her alone with the 14-year-old. Just don't do that. That's all she asked for. Instead, they went after a 7-year-old DUI she had, which there was nothing else to go after, so they went after that. Cut her parenting time off to 16 hours during the school year, 16 hours a week, or less, I think it is. And this kid is now just like, we used to have 50-50. She only had a concern about being left alone with the one who was making her uncomfortable and wanted to say something about it. And now the kid doesn't trust anybody, doesn't want to talk to anybody about it. And now at age 15, she's saying, I wish I never would have said anything. My life is just horrible as a result because of what they're doing. Ex parte, without any evidence and saying a 7-year DUI is relevant when it's not. You can't remove protections based on old info.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Greetings, commissioners, in peace and truth. In the name of Almighty God, I'm Sherry Elizabeth from Red Mountain. I turned in a complaint 70 days ago, and I didn't hear anything. And it's very serious because, like what the people have talked about, these judges, I have a judge in Walla Walla District Court who sits as the chairman, or was the chairman. I don't know whether he is now or he isn't. Christian Heaton. He threatened me from the bench. I don't have a contract. I don't have a driver's license because, like I shared with you, Stefan, why should I participate in a criminal enterprise? Department of Licensing, as far as I'm concerned, is a criminal enterprise if they're not going to be truthful about things. And I'm here to ask you, and I expect you guys to file criminal charges against Jennifer Johnson, who was your risk manager. I've provided a document showing that she was, as of June 10th of 2021, your risk manager. She committed criminal impersonation as a pro tem judge. She was never a pro tem judge. And if she violated people's rights out here, acting as a pro tem while she was a risk manager, that's a crime against them as well. So basically, under RCW 9A 60-0401A, she did criminal impersonation. The documents are all a matter of record. This is an unrebuttable fact, and I am having to go back over to this tyrant in Walla Walla. He threatened me again. I've got him in federal court right now. Walla Walla District Court and Benton County District Court are in federal court, and so is Jennifer Johnson. I just went and had her summoned through the federal court yesterday. I left you guys out because I thought you guys were gonna, Judge Costco, she was kind, she heard the truth, she understood that nobody had the authority to do what they did to me in 2021. And so I would kindly request you guys to proceed with criminal charges against Jennifer Johnson because she needs to be arrested and charged for what she did to me. I can't even get back what has happened to me. I am traumatized by it. So I thank you, and God bless you.
Anyone else in the room for public comment?
I don't normally do these, but I just wanted to correct the record for Jennifer Johnson, who was our former risk manager. This confusion about Jennifer Johnson has actually happened more than once. There are two Jennifer Johnsons that are both practicing attorneys. One goes by Jenny Johnson. She is the wife of attorney Alex Johnson out of Yakima, a Johnson & Johnson law firm. You can look them up. And then Jennifer Johnson was our risk manager and a member of our prosecuting attorney's office. And this has happened more than once where there's confusion about which Jennifer Johnson is which. But the Jennifer Johnson from our office never pro-temmed as a judge. So I think that could just be some confusion there.
Yeah. Anybody else for public comment?
There is no confusion. There is no confusion. A signature.
Mr. Chairman, this is out of line. Thank you.
There is no confusion. it was your risk manager.
Brian Thornhill live in Franklin County. So when I first started discussing this, I said I was nervous, things like that. I've talked to a lot of people, and they're asking for my support for me to keep coming up and bringing these things forward. So still a little nervous, but I feel a lot more comfortable doing it. So I have recently met with people from other counties and agencies. I pay property taxes that support Franklin County as well as 3 other local counties and 2 cities. So I pay quite a bit. So it's important for everybody to get along. And that's not the report I'm getting back. Unfortunately, the feedback has been hearing that Franklin County commissioners are not always viewed as working cooperatively with neighboring agencies. In a recent commissioners meeting, it was stated that Benton County did not really want to work with Franklin County commissioners. I think that's unfortunate, and I hope relationships can improve. So Mr. Mullen, so that's one. Now I'm starting on something else. So Mr. Mullen discussed something with me this morning. I told him I was going to discuss him a little bit, and I really want to get out of this. I want to go live my own life. So hopefully things will settle down. But you guys did take a shot at my First Amendment rights when you guys cut me off last time. So I'd like to give Commissioner Mullen a compliment. One topic Commissioner Mullen clearly demonstrates experience in agriculture. When discussing wolves and livestock, he appears very knowledgeable. One thing that I believe I've learned from Commissioner Mullen is that wolves think that cows are delicious. So that's the one thing I've got out of you. I appreciate hearing commissioners speak from areas where they have real experience. Mr. Danzel, proof will be in the pudding. Mr. Danzel recently said that the proof will be in the pudding, and that's in regarding the savings from taking over the Juvenile Justice Center. My concern is that almost any program could be appear to save money if you simply stop funding it. The same thing could be done with the Public Works or virtually any county department. So you could just shut off Public Works and save millions and farm it out to public, and you'd have tens of millions in reserve. So that's really not, just because you cut down a program of the Juvenile Justice Center, put this money in the bank, and then now it's not being funded correctly, and it doesn't show the same purpose. So you eliminate or dramatically reduce services, contract portions out privately, underfund the operation. At the end of their year, it would appear the county saved millions of dollars and increased reserves. Higher reserves alone are not proof of decisions was right. Under Mr. Danzel's premise, they could terminate any service they want just to show money in the reserve. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Anybody else in the room for public comment?
Good morning. My name is Melissa Good, and I'm a member of this community. And I've really hesitated to bring this particular story up because by now it probably sounds a little bit ridiculous, all the different things my daughter has gone through in this community. She might as well live in downtown Seattle for all the things she's been through at the tender young age now of only barely 21. She's been groomed by her teacher. She's been randomly assaulted at a Target by a weirdo 4 years ago who still hasn't stood trial, also assaulted a child. But she also has gone through being severely harassed at her high school by a couple of bullies who, according to the administration, figured out that all they had to do was basically say, I'm part of a protected class. You can't do anything to me. I get to make up the rules and be just as rotten and nasty as I want to be. So one day she comes home from school and she says, Mom, I'm afraid to go to school tomorrow. I can't go to school tomorrow. And I was like, what's going on? She says, well, there's these 2 kids at school and they basically kind of bully just about everybody. They bully all the time. And I was walking out to my car and one of them, a 6-foot-tall male, ran up on her, came right next to her and yelled as loud as they could. And she went like this and turned around, see what was going on. And this kid proceeded to basically verbally assault her, scream at her, cuss at her, and tell her to turn around and like all this crazy stuff, right? So she did. She walked to her car. This kid proceeded to get into the car with the other bully that they had strategically parked right next to her, rolled down their windows, and essentially began just continuing the verbal assaults. Well, my daughter's best friend's boyfriend witnessed this and went over and said, hey, knock it off. Leave her alone. That's enough. So the female got out of the car and tried to kick him, and he basically just held her away from him, small female. And then the male got out and tried to strangle him, like literally put his hands around his neck. So a fight ensued, and it was then broken up. Then these kids, who evidently have gang affiliation, said, we're going to go get one of our family members who's in this gang, and we're going to come back and we're going to beat your asses. So my daughter is watching this whole thing unfold, goes back into the school, talks to administration, tells the assistant principal what's going on. Everything gets reported, then she walks back out, and thank goodness, he walked her back out to her car because they were waiting in the parking lot with this full-grown adult who had attended the same high school and had a reputation for physical violence towards other students. What if he hadn't accompanied her?
Thank you. Anybody else in the room for public comment?
Andy Revis, Franklin County. Excuse me. One question I have for the commissioners, last week I heard there was a $300,000 settlement. I think personally that the community needs to know where all this money, what all these settlements are for. I know you go into executive session, there's privacy and all this stuff, but there's a lot of money that I hear gets spent on settlements. And is it the sheriff's department that we're settling suits against? Is it the corrections department? What is it? The road works because somebody hit a pothole? I think as a citizen, we need to have some way to figure this stuff, understand this. Maybe I'm just don't know where to look. The family court thing, I just found last night a young lady that was removed from her birth parents. She was adopted. She was removed from the adoptive parents and has been on the run ever since, in and out of dozens of foster homes until she turned 18. And I found last night she's got criminal cases in Franklin County and in Walla Walla County. This is a perpetual thing. My children were removed from a mother in the state of Texas for drug charges, and she could not get her life straightened out. They took her kids, farmed them out. After I adopted my two children, we got in contact with birth mom, and she had turned her life around. We was trying to help get her reunited with her children for visits at the minimum. And CPS came and took my children back away from us again. I offered in family court. I stood here and talked about putting our resources to helping these families, these mothers that have lost their children or are in trouble. I told Benton and Franklin County CPS, I told them, I will voluntarily relinquish my rights that I have from adopting these children if you will give them back to their birth mom who wants them and can care for them now. And they said, well, we can't do that. It's like, why not? I'm learning now why not. Washington State would lose their Title IV federal funding from Social Security Administration if they put these children back with their birth mom who wanted them and had changed her life, turned her life around, got rid of the drugs, got rid of the bad boyfriends, and had the resources to care for her children now.
Anyone else in the room for public comment? Anybody on the phone? All right, hearing and seeing none. Moving on to approval of consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of consent agenda items 1 through 6 as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Regular business, Resolution 2026-211, Information Services, 5-year lease renewal for Quadrant Mail Machine.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Do you guys have any questions on the packets that was submitted? And then I believe County Administrator had provided a correspondence last week with a modified quote.
Questions?
I have no questions.
I don't have any questions on it.
All right, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I will entertain a motion.
Just to be clear, I cannot support this resolution or this 5-year lease agreement, so I can't make a motion on it.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve Resolution 2026-211.
I'll second that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. The resolution passes. Commissioner Administrator updates. Mr. Danzel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We have a discussion here first, don't we, on the HAPO? Yeah, it's B on regular business. Do you not have it on yours?
I do not have a B on mine.
He doesn't have the updated. There you go.
Okay. All right, thank you. Discussion, the HAPO Center. Approval of fund transfer from the .09 fund to the HAPO Center operations account, reimbursement of capital improvement expenditures. Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, in front of you, you will have a packet here of, it's a combination of a request that was made from HWL, some back and forth, and then later on during the correspondence portion of the meeting, I will also include the very nice mid-year report that Mr. McCall included as part of the correspondence. I think you all know the issue here. The request is for the ability to utilize capital improvement expenditures for the purpose of upgrading certain portions of the HAPO Center. I know that folks from HAPO are here, from HWL are here to answer any questions you might have, but kind of the idea that I wanted to at least get this on the agenda so that we could discuss it. And then you gentlemen tell me which way you'd like to go. But this is the request that was made and the direction that I think we have to go if we're going to continue to operate as we have been. I don't know if Mike and Joanna have anything to add to that or just kind of a listening only mode. But and speaking with Wes and Mr. Harris, Mr. Myers, and Mr. Leisure, I know that they've all had meetings with each of the three of you gentlemen separately. And so I think that this would be a time to contemplate making this decision. I also have included in there some of the back and forth between Mr. Myers and Mr. Brimacum from our own accounting department, and it looks like they're getting closer to reconciliation when it comes to the accounting. And so I lay that before you and just ask what you would like to do, if you'd like to take action, if you would like to have the accountants do a little bit of an analysis on it. It's all up to you gentlemen. So you tell me, and I just wanted to let you know that although it's not stated on there, our clerk of the board, Ms. Alvarez, has got a resolution ready to go in case you were ready. But I think I also asked the auditor staff to be here as well. And again, it could be a potential where you might ask the auditor staff some questions if you're having any of them, and also just to kind of understand better where maybe we're coming from. So I will stop talking at this point, and then you will drive the discussion. If you'd like to talk to whoever, you're more than welcome to ask them to come up and speak to it.
All right, thank you. Any questions, commissioners?
I'll just make a comment. I had a very productive conversation with our auditor's office yesterday. Matt, thank you for having access to your staff there. That was very, very helpful, having an understanding. I believe that the resolution that our clerk has prepared is proper. We need to input a dollar figure in there, but I think that would be appropriate at this time, as we have a cash flow issue that we need to fulfill, and while ongoing communication is happening to get the true up to happen for last year and the budget for this year, and would encourage us to pass a resolution. We just need to discuss a dollar figure for that.
Mr. Chairman, if I might ask our accounting people to come up here, please, Ryan and Tim, and a couple questions I'd like to ask that would be in the public view, so the public will be fully aware of what's going on here. First off, Tim, being that you used to work for the state auditor's office, if we were to use these .09 funds for this, there would be no repercussion because this is jobs, correct?
That's my understanding, and Jeff Briggs may be able to speak on this as well. But yes, I think ultimately you're supposed to be able to assert that it creates or maintains jobs, and it's for economic purposes. Which and we have used money on HAPO Center in the past.
So, yes, and we're talking about RCW 8214-370, which is where that .09 sales tax comes from. And I would just point out too, this tax, actually, what they do for the .09 tax is they take a portion of the tax that the state is collecting, so it's not an additional tax imposed on the community. I just wanted to get that out there. But the money that's collected, I guess you'd say it's actually remitted from the state to the counties under what they've already collected. Can only be used for public facilities serving economic development purposes. And those public facilities have to be tied into your growth management planning, which we do. We have an economic development plan. It's a little bit old, but I think the HAPO Center is the only public facility that's listed in that plan. And then the economic development purposes, as Tim stated, the creation or retention of jobs or creation of affordable housing. So I would agree this money could be appropriately used here.
Thank you. I just wanted that explained to the public so they were aware. And Ryan, through the emails that I was looking at, we don't seem to be on the same page on the accounting lines with HAPO. What is the problem there? Why are we not able to have the same books match up? Can you sort of give us a clarification on that? Because we're having problems with the figures, is what I understand.
Yeah, so I would agree that based on all the improvements that were done out there is a chunk that would make sense to be paid for from .09 money. I would suggest that there is more of an analysis of why they need extra subsidy at this point. Could it be, is payroll too much, or are they not charging enough for revenues? Those sorts of things, but I mean, perhaps there's more analysis to be done. But definitely last year we, $675,000 was needed to subsidize HAPO Center, but a good chunk of that was for things that weren't kept up over the years. So as I understand it, they've done an excellent job of making the place look much better and more presentable for guests that are coming. But yeah, I think there's still, so they're in the process that they're going to reconcile. We've shared with them our financials, so I think now they understand better where we're coming from. But yeah, so for example, of that list that they shared of items, a chunk of those have already been subsidized from last year, right? Because it was Franklin County funds that came from RV park and car rental excise, car rental tax, and then there was also a piece from City of Pasco that paid for that $675,000. Now there's also a chunk of items in 2026 that, and that's I think what Commissioner Baumann was speaking of, that they would that would warrant the spending of $0.09 to pay for that, to kind of keep it up to snuff.
Okay, on the new chiller, the new chiller is for the ice rink, is it not?
That's my understanding,
Yeah,
yes.
and that needed some attention. But you're saying that on this list, some of these things have already been paid for and some of them haven't. We don't have a clear-cut amount of what we need to.
I believe they're going to give us more updated information that over the next coming weeks we should be able to finalize those.
Everything's
numbers.
already been invoiced, right? Everything's been paid for.
Yes, everything's been paid for. It's just being able to say which items. Yeah. So of this list, it's a mixture of 2025 and 2026 expenses that we've paid already. So I think they were kind of trying to show that, yes, there is some subsidy, but you should understand that a chunk of this stuff is because there is some upkeep that wasn't done over the years, which is absolutely right.
Well, no, hold on a second. You're saying it's all been paid for, but I know that they have come out of their own pocket to pay for some of it. Is that what you're saying, that it's been paid for? Because
Well,
have we reimbursed for everything?
We have paid for it. Now, the fund doesn't have any cash. On a weekly basis since early March, the treasurer's office has had to say, we can't pay these invoices. And so there is a clear cash flow problem. And a lot of that cash flow problem is because they just purchased all of these items that they needed to get it more in shape. But now there's not enough cash.
So the request is essentially to reimburse the HAPO Center fund, so then there's some operating cash. So there's some cash in there for, so that we're not having this weekly cash flow issue. So I do want to touch on that. Part of the misunderstanding between HWL and us, or I don't even know if misunderstanding is correct, but is that, so they're doing everything on a accrual basis, which we operate on an accrual basis for the HAPO Center as well. But when we're talking all of these purchases, so you have a piece of equipment that you say you buy for $500,000. Well, they're looking at that it's expensed over 30 years, so it shouldn't. So really, they're only taking 1/30 of that as a hit to their expense. But when we're talking the subsidy, that's still a cash outflow in the current year. And if we don't have $500,000, then we don't have $500,000. So there's, when we're talking subsidy, we still need, well, even though you're expensing it over a longer period of time with accrual accounting, you still need the cash recovery in the current period. You can't spend money you don't have, which is what we're ultimately encountering, is that the HAPO Center has been short on cash flow for a long period of time. And so ultimately the commissioner's decision comes down to how much of a subsidy they want to pay, how much, we pay an amount out of the rental car excise tax fund and the RV park that's on an annual basis, which now we're paying the full amount. Before that was split half and half with those funds and the City of Pasco. Now it's being it's as of 2026, it's completely on the county. The city's not in that anymore. And so that's all on that. And then if there's any additional capital that you're wanting to take on, it just comes down to how much the board is willing to pay in subsidies for the HAPO Center.
Okay,
Right now it's budgeted at $350,000 is what's budgeted to come from rental car excise tax and RV park fund. But with these payments being requested for capital and more long-term items, it would be, the request is obviously more than 350,000 when you include those requests as well.
So my question then would be, if the funds have been already applied to these and all we're doing is replenishing the account, would the .09 fund still be, everything is still, because it's going to the HAPO Center, correct?
Right. Yeah, .09 funds can be used directly for that center.
Okay.
I don't know, and I guess I'd back up a little bit and say the capital facilities is a little bit broader than just the HAPO Center. Anything that's under our capital facilities plan could be funded through .09 funds as well. But I think the difference between the two is that the use of .09 funds appear to include operation of a public facility that's geared towards economic development, such as the HAPO Center.
All right. No more questions.
All right, thank you. Any further questions from?
Trying to ask the same question yesterday of our auditor's office, Commissioner Didier, that you just asked. It would appear, based on some of those conversations, that the subsidy that I believe would be appropriate for today would be $250,000. In the paperwork that we have, it would indicate $521,000. But after discussion with some of that being from the 2025 fiscal year and the 2026 fiscal year, it appears that that number that would be appropriate today would be $250,000, and then that would give opportunity for our auditor's office and HWL to conclude their evaluation and true up of the numbers and give us that report in when they get it completed, so that we can finish that. But it would be my recommendation that we, in this resolution today, transfer $250,000 from the .09 fund into the HAPO fund.
With that, I'll entertain a motion then.
You have a resolution number. I have a resolution, but no number.
250. What's the resolution number?
What's the resolution?
2026 241. So, Mr. Chairman, I would move for approval of Resolution 2026-241, approving the transfer of $250,000 from the Franklin County .09 Public Facilities Fund per RCW 82.14.370 to the HAPO Center operating account for reimbursement of the completed capital improvements, and send communication to the committee that makes recommendations on the .09 funds to what we have done with those funds.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? I will second the motion. Go to discussion.
My question is, how do we just pick a number out of thin air? I think we need a true account of what we need to give to the HAPO Center. And this is just making a stab in the dark. We don't know the total. We got $521,000 here. We got a motion for $250,000. We need a firm number so the public knows that we are on top of this and we're using, and I think a week away would not be too long to make sure that we have the right number.
Can this be done in a week? Because obviously HWL has put out the money already. Is that correct?
The county's paid for it.
County has paid for it.
Yeah. So we've so keep in mind there's already a $350,000 subsidy that the county pays for the year, and so they're still running out of cash. So I think where the $250,000 came from, Commissioner Baumann and us, we looked at it in the draft form, just, okay, which items are 2026 in this version? And it's approximately that. It's close to the 250. But perhaps there's the argument that, you know, why are we doing more when there's already a subsidy of 350? I think there still needs to be the discussion of what is an appropriate subsidy. You know, it'd be good to hear from HWL what they foresee the true budget for the year. This is how much subsidy we're going to need. Otherwise, I think my fear would be they'd keep coming forward. Hey, we need more money. It'd be good just to kind of set those parameters in total. So one quick fix for cash, we could put the chiller, move that money to 392 to have, which is HAPL renewal and replacement, have that pay for that. That would give them an immediate $101,000. Now this, on today, they had I think it was $63,000 of invoices we couldn't pay because there wasn't any cash. So clearly there is a clear issue, there is a clear need. But I mean, as Commissioner Baumann stated, I mean, something needs to be done for cash right now, whether that's 250,000 or whatever amount it is. Again, we can do a journal entry right now that would allow those invoices to get paid, and then they'd have a little bit extra of a cushion. But I'm sure it'll get eaten up pretty quick because every week from the start of March until now, they've had a cash problem. So I'm assuming next week will be the same. So I think Commissioner Baumann's suggestion would fix the cash problem, but I think there has to be other questions on what does success look like. You know, maybe you can't continue to do all the things they'd like to do. Maybe it has to be looked at of what can we do on a lesser. Anyway, not for me to give advice. I'm just stating that to your question. I don't know that that's the correct amount based on there is other subsidy that they're getting. But I will say this: a subsidy has always been needed there. So perhaps that's just the nature of it. It may, you know. Maybe there is a subsidy that's needed, but that's, I think, a discussion probably at some point you would have with HWL. What is the appropriate subsidy to have?
And on that, I think there's even two questions. What would be an adequate, you know, what is an adequate operating subsidy for just regular operations? And what, if any, does the board want to continue to make on more capital related stuff, things that aren't just regular operations that are going to benefit operations for a longer period of time over 1 year, you know, capital items, chiller unit, how much the board is willing to pay annually on that type of item as well. You know, if that is outside of if that's being considered outside of the normal subsidy, which is what is essentially being proposed here, that those aren't part of the normal subsidy, then what is a reasonable amount that the board wants to pay on that kind of stuff moving forward as well.
So even pushing this back another week, we still won't have a definite answer. Is that correct?
I mean, it's possible that they'll have a cash problem again. One thing that's helped with the cash is they'll deposit their revenues. They'll do cash receipting to the treasurer's office more frequently. I know historically it was more, you know, maybe once a month or so. But given the need for cash, it seems like the beginning of every week we're having to say, you know, send over whatever cash you have to get deposited. So I can't guarantee that they would have enough cash, even if we did that move of 101,000. But I think so. Yeah, probably some amount needs to get moved over. But and to your question, I think you asked by next week would we know. I'm guessing there's going to be some back and forth on this, but I think for a final number, I think you'd probably need to meet, I mean, I sent a message, or I sent a request, it's been about a month now, of what they foresee the subsidy needing to be. And I think now they have access to our financials a little better, and so they might be able to provide that here soon.
I think Mike McCall has something to add.
Mr. McCall, please come forward.
I just wanted to say it's challenging for us at HOL because I think we've done a great job in a year and a half.
You have done a great job.
We've tripled the revenues, we've tripled the events. The culture is outstanding, the reviews we've been getting, the people in the community. So to hear that there's all these struggles, there's all these struggles, if I can in layman's terms, because I'm not an accountant, in layman's terms, we were operating under the understanding and the approvals that $521,000 in 25 and 26 have been allocated and approved for capital expenditures. And they've all been approved. And we've turned those lists in over the past 18 months. They've all been approved. That's the money that's been spent. Unfortunately, there was no money that had been transferred from the .09 funds, which was originally what our understanding of where that money was going to come from. So the money has been taken out of our operating profits for the last 12 months. And that's why there's no money in the account. So this isn't an account, there's an accounting issue, but this isn't an issue of, oh, should we subsidize now? Those decisions were already made to put that money in there towards fixing the place up, which we all did. It's a matter of that money hadn't been transferred appropriately at that time from our perspective. So, and again, we don't do the accounting, you know what I mean? So we don't know where things are at every day, every week, and there's a 30 or 60 day log. And it's one of the things that I've been talking about that makes sense. It really should be in our hands with day-to-day access there. So that's a separate story, but I just want to say, things are going so well, there. I don't want this painted and to act like we're asking for a subsidy and this is our request. We're doing it because it needed to be done functionally. But I don't think, the accounting department, I don't think the decision should be lying there on what we're doing. They should just be accounting for it, right? And at some point, we'd like to come back and try to square that up and get the accounting put in our hands on a day-to-day basis because that's where the activity is happening. So that's all I wanted to point out, that things are so positive, so good, and I don't know where it's gone wrong, in the process, but and it just needs to get addressed. It's that time.
I know, thank you.
Okay.
And it looks wonderful out there.
Thank you.
Guys, yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would say, yes, HWL has done a fantastic job. But again, in the same breath, I would say, this is not the role of government. Franklin County should never have owned the HAPO Center. This should be a private sector issue, and they should be running it and making a profit. Instead, we have to subsidize in order to keep it going. And quite frankly, I'm hearing from my constituents, they've been doing, it was $1 million a year when they first got this thing up and running that we were having to put in. Thank God we got HWL there. They're making this thing as close to a break even as they can. But it was run down. The building needed help. The ice rink needed help. That's what the chiller. Now, Ryan, you brought up a fact that this money could be brought out of another account. Which account was that again?
We could move it to HAPO renewal and replacement.
How much money is in that one?
There's 101,000 currently.
I think we should use that money for that chiller, and then we should probably look at reducing the 250 down and get it to where they're able to manage it. But honestly, my constituents are tired of us putting money into the HAPO Center. That's all I got to say.
But we've already approved the subsidies, isn't that correct?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I know that, I'm not trying to go back on what was just said, but this is a funding request from Wes Harris, and so it's in addition to the subsidy that the county's already provided. And the reason is because, and you gentlemen will likely remember this, the idea is that they were going to pay for it out of operating. We passed that in, I think it was December of last year. And this is coming as like a correction to that because HWL's position is that always should have been paid out of .09. So that's where the kind of the delineation is yes, there's the subsidy. I don't know if that's the correct, let's use a different word. This isn't necessarily an additional subsidy necessarily as we talk about it, but it is a funding request for the amount that's asked for. So it's in addition to the subsidy that we pay every year. Now, some people might ask, why are we paying the subsidy and the city of Pasco isn't? The city of Pasco was being able to utilize our ball fields for $1 a year for the past 25 years. And that wasn't acceptable because, as anybody in the world knows, you cannot maintain an entire state-of-the-art ball field complex for $1 a year. And so that was a not a so good deal. I think when that went away, then the city's interest in participating in the HAPO Center went away, even though I will add that the only entity that really benefits from the HAPO Center financially, and this is what makes this difficult too, is the county owns the building, but we don't get the hotel motel tax. We don't get the revenues that are received out of it. The city benefits from that. We do not. And so there was a breakdown, I think, in years past, but it predates all of us, where I think there was a lot of different, and I've spoken with Mike about this before, I think there was a lot of different iterations of what different people and different groups at the time thought they wanted to do with the HAPO Center, which led to us being where we are here today. So that's just kind of a background on it, is that the partial reason that the books do look the way they do is we're not receiving the additional subsidy from the city of Pasco. And that's after we gave them a $25 a year, $1, or $25 for 25 years worth of use. And it just didn't look like we were on the same page as far as the HAPO Center itself went, because our contention has always been, why don't we utilize some of the hotel motel taxes that are being raised by the HAPO Center having events in the hotels out there? And it just seemed to not really be a place, because every local government has budget concerns. And so I think that was what it was. It was just a budget decision that was made.
I'd have a couple of comments on that. I appreciate, Brian, you sharing that. Visit Tri-City's done a study, I believe it was in 2018, that showed that in 2018, the HAPO Center provided $10 million in economic stimulus to the local area, and that primarily being the city of Pasco. And so you have the hotel motel tax as well as the sales taxes that happen in that area, and of which Franklin County doesn't get anything for that.
Right.
And so I have spoken to a number of the different council members and the city manager about that, and about what is the feeling on that. And we are no longer getting any subsidy from the city of Pasco for the operation of the HAPO Center. The HAPO Center has been subsidized for the last 32 years that it's been in existence, been subsidized every year. I believe it's as close to operating in the black as it's ever been, as far as I can tell. I haven't reviewed all the books for the entire time. But the HAPO Center is similar to a public park. A public park does not generate income, and it does not it doesn't operate in the black. It is a public service. The reason I believe that the .09 funds are appropriate for this use is the .09 fund is a remittance from the state, as our Council Briggs pointed out to us. It is not an additional tax collected in Franklin County. It is a refund or remittance of a proportion of the state's portion of the sales tax for use for this type of a facility. It's very clearly laid out in the RCW aforementioned that it is for the operation, including, if necessary, all the way to the point to wages for something like this. I believe that the .09 funds is appropriate. Any subsidy that we provide to the HAPO Center would be appropriately funded by the .09 fund, and think that this is proper for us to do.
Okay. Well, I don't necessarily agree with the analogy of a city park, but I do agree and understand that the economic impact from the HAPO Center does generate a lot of sales tax from the hotels and motels. So it is in our best interest to continue the operation of HAPO, and the fact that they are doing an outstanding job. It does look nice, and it does create hotel tax that we do not collect, that goes directly to the city. So I guess I am in favor of using the .09 funds to get this straightened out, and for that reason. So, is there any further discussion? At that point, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 The motion, yes.
Clarification, that was for 250,000?
Yes.
So that we can plug it in? Perfect, thank you very much.
Our motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Yeah. Commissioner Administrator updates, Mr. Danzel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This past week, I can't not mention celebrating the 250th birthday of America. Really incredible to be able to see all the video tributes, fireworks. The feeling of unity was something I haven't experienced in a long time. I drove around a lot of Franklin County and witnessed neighbors having impromptu block parties and lighting off fireworks and enjoying each other's company, and it made me smile to see that. It harkened back to a time when bowling leagues, block parties, and people showing up unannounced just to spend time in friendship and conversation was the default setting, and I was all for it. This entire county should be proud. We celebrated our namesake like he would have wanted us to, as the founding fathers in the 250th celebration. There were so many events across the county, I couldn't get to all of them, but it did remind me of something that I believe is true, and that is that for all the outside forces that like to make us think that we're so entirely different, the people, I believe, are above that. And I've seen it firsthand, and I saw it when I was driving around. These people happen to be the people of Franklin County who go out of their way, volunteer, pull over by the side of the road when people have a flat tire. And so anyway, I just wanted to mention that it was really uplifting to see that. And again, I think it'd be so important if people would look at the way that we acted with civility in the past and maybe took less time on social media and media in general, and saw that we're so much alike. Because you know what I saw was people that were celebrating our country, having hot dogs and hamburgers and apple pies, and it was a great time. Just wanted to put that in there. Thought it was worthwhile to mention. Met with Teresa Alvarez and Jen Herrera to look at the next couple of weeks. As you gentlemen know, that I will be on vacation for the next couple of weeks. So anything in the next 2 weeks that happens, it will be impossible to be my fault. It can't be.
Thank you for that clarification.
Appreciate the clarification.
I just wanted to give that that's going to be an impossibility. I'm very thankful for Ms. Alvarez and Ms. Herrera. I have no worries at all that they'll be able to do that. And also wanted to thank Council Briggs. Spoke to Council Briggs about that, and I asked him, hey, if there's ever anything that gets to be questionable, and he's completely on top of it, and just wanted to say thank you for that. Spoke to Edgar Vega of Human Services. This will be part of your correspondence. He already lassoed us in a grant from the Department of Commerce. And so he's been doing a great job in standing up the department. I think I speak for everybody when I say our facilities team did such an awesome job with the decorations of our courthouse. And I just I would be remiss if I didn't point that out. Those people work very hard day in and day out to make sure that we're able to not just function, and then they go above and beyond and do something like this. And the question that I have for you gentlemen is, and because I've gotten it from a lot of people, is, are we leaving them up year round? That's the question, number one question that I got on that. So pretty cool that was the deal. Met and spoke with Council Briggs multiple times, held agenda meetings with you gentlemen. And like I say, I got a couple more things to go over in correspondence, but for now, and that is my report. And of course, if you have anything for me, just let me know. But you're going to want to make it quick because, like I say, I'm going to be taking off here for pretty soon. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Commissioner Bauman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attended the Grand Ole 4th of July Parade here in Pasco. Really enjoyed that and enjoyed celebrating the 250th anniversary of this great country, the greatest country that this earth has ever known, and thankful for God's blessing on this country this far. Met with the PA's office, had an agenda meeting with our administrator, met with our Building Planning and Economic Development Director, Mr. McCart, and his staff, went over some comp plan amendment information and kind of an informational meeting, and was thankful for all the hard work that they're doing. They are taking a very deep dive into that, and hats off to all of them and the hard work that they're doing. They are having a look from the first page to the last page, including the fine print, and appreciate the hard work that they're doing. Went to Pasco City Council and spoke in my official role as a county commissioner and thanked them for their what they're doing on behalf of the less restrictive access housing and essential public facilities, which that LRA housing falls under. That is under a moratorium in Pasco, and they are considering extending that moratorium for an additional 6 months so that they can further refine the efforts that they are going through to identify how that they will manage if one of those facilities were to ever come into our community. To describe LRA housing, that is a very mundane description to something that would be terrible for our community. That is for level 3 sexually violent predators to have access to our community as a place to live. They are currently housed on McNeil Island over on the west side in the Puget Sound on an island in a facility there, and that is the proper place for them, not within our community. To give you an example, the LRA house that was planned for that because of community pressure did not happen in Kennewick. It was planned for there to be 5 individuals in that house, level 3 sex offenders, and the statistics are on that they have a 78% recidivism rate. Statistically speaking, that means 4 of the 5 of those individuals would reoffend. Where they had it planned for Kennewick was within short walking distance of a public pool, daycare, schools, and that should not be within our community. The state has passed a law that makes it so that we cannot forbid it. There is ways to restrict it and have somewhat of a say and control about it, and the Pasco is working diligently to lay out what that is, and I spoke in support of the efforts that they are taking. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that's my report.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Didier.
Yes, so last week celebrated the 4th in Basin City, and the parade up at Basin City. And it has got extremely big. I was amazed at the amount of people that showed up for that. Have a request from the Columbia Basin Paper and Supply, who supplies our calendars for our offices, that we leave up those decorations on the courthouse until November 11th, which is Veterans Day. And I think that would be a great call to leave those up for the veterans that serve this country until Veterans Day. I think it would be unduly to do it year-round because then we lose its significance, but if we leave them up till Veterans Day, it's showing we're honoring our vets. So I think that'd be the proper place. Jeremy Abers is having that event for veterans out in Benton City, and it's July 18th from 2 to 8. He's looking for donations of brisket meat to feed the veterans that show up. I'm going to give out his phone number, and I hope that people will call to offer up that, of which I'm going to donate one myself, but anticipating a lot of veterans to show up to help. John Penny will be there to help him get signed up. And if veterans, one thing about it is if they don't get signed up right the first time, they don't get a second chance. And they go serve our country. They put their life on the line, And we can't give them help to fill out this paperwork. That's why we've hired a VSO officer to make sure they get their paperwork filled out right, because they won't get a second chance. And they give us all a second chance by serving this great country. And then I talked to Edgar Varga at Human Services, and I told him about it, and he's already been in touch and working on it. But his number, Jeremy's number, is 509-438-2365. I would encourage you to reach out to him. If you know any veterans, tell them about this event, and get him some veterans out there that need help. We want our veterans that need help to get help. We have $695,000 in our veterans account, and we're not supposed to have over 3 years, and we got well over 4, if not 5 years in there. So please help the veterans that need help get help. His number again is 509-438-2365. Thank you.
Thank you. So this last week I did have the opportunity to visit the St. Paul Rodeo. It's a 4th of July rodeo that goes over 5 days. It's a town of 400 people that has seating for over 10,000, and they sell out every single seat, every single year, every single show, which is 2 on the 4th. And the patriotism there and the fact that they say prayer before they start the rodeo each night, it's a great event and shows that strength you can have in a community of that size of 400 people to bring in over 30,000 people for that rodeo. And I just want to take the opportunity to say that, you know, we live in this great country that we're free to do as, you know, we have freedoms that other people don't have. And I'm just going to use a quote that I would ensure or hope that everybody is aware of it, and maybe the younger kids are not. And it's from a Democratic inaugural speech from John Kennedy in 1963. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I just hope that that's still taught in our schools today, because that does not seem to be the message that's being sent when we see socialist city mayors, governors being elected. And I think we need to reflect back on that statement and realize how fortunate we are to live in this country and the sacrifices that were made. I just want to bring that to the attention on this 4th, and I hope everybody had a great 4th of July and that you did enjoy your freedoms of living here in this great United States. Other than that, had meetings with Mr. Danzel, and that concludes my report for this week. So thank you. Is there any correspondence?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. In your binder, you will see correspondence from the OPD coordinator. You'll recall that Mr. Ziegler had asked for just a yes/no question on or answer on the question of step and grade increase. So he again is asking for that answer. I told him that we have no problem giving it. So the idea was that originally there was a request to go from a 16. I believe it was 3, it was 16-1, 3 to 6, instead of just a 16-3 to a 16-4, like is a normal progression. It's your gentleman's decision. Evidently, the request has been made that they want an absolute yes or no.
I cannot support that at this time.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to either because it would create a quandary in the courthouse.
Okay. Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Same?
Not at this time.
Okay, so that'll be, I'll get that communicated. The next thing that I have for you is, I have a grant award from the Department of Commerce, and this is what I was talking about earlier, that Edgar Vega had secured for us. I'm gonna take one and I'll pass it down the line there. But it's from the Department of Commerce for Human Services. We have also, and I had mentioned this when we were discussing the HAPO Center, this is the HAPO Center mid-year review. I wanted to pass that down. It's got information about the events that they're having and some of the successes and some of what they're looking forward to in the future. And then this one arrived late, but it's probably maybe the most important. This is a letter that I got from our planning, building and economic development director, who attends our Eastern Washington Council of Governments meetings for us. This is a letter of support signing on to Congressman Baumgartner's Farm Bill amendment, which would direct the Department of Agriculture to include both the funding and also the resources to finish the Columbia Basin project. And so I'm sure you gentlemen would be excited about signing on to that letter of support, and here is that letter of support. And then behind it, when I hand it to you, it's the letters and where they go and kind of a little bit of a background on it, but that's really as simple as it gets, is that it's a bill that would, or an amendment to the Farm Bill that would allow for the completion of the Columbia Basin project, which was promised as a note of history by the Franklin Delano Roosevelt administration. On top of that, no, I think that's it.
All right, thank you.
That'll do it. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I do believe we owe an answer to one of the questions that was posed to us at public comment about the payout of $300,000. Mr. Briggs, would you like to inform the public of why we had to pay out $300,000, please?
Sure. So there was a settlement in it was an employment grievance in the sheriff's office. We settled that matter. All those records are public, so the public can request those and make their own determinations on what they are. And it was related to Deputy Quantrell, who's terminated by the sheriff's office and then filed a grievance through PERC, the Public Employer Relations Commission.
One more thing, Mr. Chair. Can I-
Yes.
And I'm so sorry to jump in like this. I just have to remind that we've got 26 minutes to get you down to Third Avenue. So, and you all have been so helpful with this in the past, but if we're not done with public comments by then, we're gonna have to break, and Commissioner Mullen is gonna have to go down to participate in the, as well as Council Briggs, in the residency challenge of a person seeking office in a legislative district. So we do have time constraints here. We've got till 11.
So that was going to be my next question. Is there going to be a need for an executive session today?
No.
Yeah.
And it'll probably take you, I'd like to give you 10 minutes to get down there, so.
No closed session either? We're good on closed and executive?
It'll have to be later. Yeah, I don't know how we'll do that. Okay.
Would it be appropriate to amend our agenda and move for adjournment?
Not,
No,
probably
because
not
we still have
adjournment.
public comment.
Yeah,
Recess,
recess.
but we still have some time.
Can we squeeze it into 15 minutes?
Closed session? Is that what you're asking?
All of it.
The closed session, we won't be able to make it time-wise because we average about 40 minutes in public comments. And then we're gonna, if we have to have closed session, that's gonna be at least probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So we're already an hour out, so that'd be a half hour late. What I think that we ought to do is begin with the public comments, ask the people, maybe ask a favor of like, if you don't want to get up and you feel like you've made your voice heard, great. Well, this isn't a deplatforming of any kind, shape, or form. It's a legitimate issue that we have to get our chairman and other interested parties to. So my recommendation would be to either take some public comments now and then break no later than 10:40 to give you the time to be able to get down there and meet with the other canvassing board members to review what you've got to review, same with Council Briggs, and then come back after you're done and then finish out public comments and a closed session.
All right.
That work for you, gentlemen?
Yes.
All right, that's what I would recommend. So it's 10:27 now. I would say we got 13 minutes of public comments, and then we'll get back to it if we need to at the end.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the room for public comment?
George Dockstetter, Self Landing Road, Franklin County. Two things. I do want to thank you for supporting the VSO. They made all the difference to me, and I appreciate it. The other thing is the 09 funds that you're using to prop up HAPO. I'm fine on capital improvements, but just to throw money into a pothole that never gets fixed is getting tiresome for the county residents. 30-some years we've been feeding that machine and we've got nothing for it. 09 funds, I'd rather see you use them, coordinate with the city of Pasco. We could have helped Costco by giving some 09 funds to move here. The average Costco store is almost 900,000 of sales a day, with 60% of that as taxable income or sales that would have been generated for our city and county. And the city, as far as I'm concerned, wasted all that time and not coming around asking what we could do to get something like that in here. We need a retail base. I'd rather see you spend the 09 funds in tax relief or whatever it takes that's possible to bring in retail businesses in our county. We need the sales tax income, and we need the property tax evaluation would be tremendous. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Brian Thornhill. So I'll be back, but I just want to say thank you for reaching out to me, Mr. Mullen, this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marcy Torres from Franklin County. Yesterday I received a case from Miguel Martinez, who has been going at this with Mason Pickett since 2023. Imagine being a man and being used to every 2 years increase child support just because Mason Pickett found a new way to take more money off of this person. Now he's intending to get into his retirement after they've already drained him financially. And Mason Pickett works with doctors who will sign disability letters so that his clients can claim to be disabled so they can take more money. And I refuse to stay quiet, and I'm being attacked a lot by a lot of women that are used to taking advantage of people. I didn't get any child support for my son for over 5 years. I took care of him on my own. Until finally the state got involved and they were like, you have a child support order, he should be helping you. He was supposed to pay $210, was refusing to pay them. But I'm not okay with women, or men for that matter, using one another and draining each other's finances out of spite. So I'm going to be showing up to the hearing against Mason Pickett. But I need you guys to be aware that there are doctors that are issuing letters, fraudulent letters, and claiming people being disabled.
The scary part.
And I will get to the bottom of this. This is not going to be okay, and it's not going to continue to fly. And he's not going to continue to drain our families of finances that should be used for these children, for their education and for their futures. Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. Kat Espinda, two-tier takedown. I'm going to continue reading this letter from Nate Snow. That was and it was done under a report by Denise Brockman with Kids at Heart. I do not think it's fair at all that you did this just to send me back to my abuser, my mom. It isn't fair that you have made me live this nightmare, sending me back to my abuser, my mom. It is cluttered at my mom's house. She starves me there. There's chemicals all over the house, bug bombs. She touches my private parts. Every day, she uses cream as an excuse to rub my pee-pee to the point where my pee-pee was bleeding and hurt and got infections. My abuser, my mom, only allowed one meal a day, a mac and cheese or a ham sandwich, to the point where I was starving. So much stopped feeling hungry. For 3 years, I didn't gain weight when I was with my abuser, my mom, until I got to be with my dad more, because he made me eat. He made me like food again. My abuser, my mom, sleeps in my bed with me every night. My abuser, my mom, gave me sleeping pills every night. My abuser, my mom, starves me. When she yells, my abuser, my mom, is mean. She has no heart inside. My abuser, my mom, hits me when I want to eat. When she gets mad, she hits me. My abuser, my mom, hits me in the face when I ask for food. I get afraid of my abuser, my mom. I ask for food, she gets hungry. She yells at me, and she hits me. I worry about it, that my abuser, my mom, will get to keep me. This was written 3 years ago. It worries me just about the thought of it. We talk about helping veterans. There's an overfunding of an account. Right there, orange shirt, Mitch Snow, a Green Beret who served our country. He needs help getting his son back from his abuser, his mom, not his dad, the one that's been fighting to see his son. His son is a hostage in his own home, and he's not been going to school for years. We don't know. He was supposed to be going to the Kennewick School District, but he doesn't go to school. I guess he supposedly gets homeschooled. Where is Nate Snow? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Aaron Derrick, Benton County. And just piggybacking off what we just heard, if that doesn't rattle you to your core, I don't know what to say to you. I mean, I keep coming up here and I use the word evil, and I don't use that word hyperbole. What these family court judges are doing is reprehensible. It takes a black, evil heart or no heart at all to do this, to monetize tearing families apart, giving these children to known predators. It's disgusting. It's evil. And they've got so many tactics. Disregarding the truth, gag orders telling the dad he can't talk about his own son. I don't know how they get away with this, but it's going to stop. And this is why court watching is so important. We are very limited in the ways that we can hold these bad actors in robes accountable. But when you're in that courtroom and you're documenting their every decision, their every move, then they're on their best behavior. And that's why I hope we see more of it. And again, where is Nate Snow? We need answers.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment?
Very quickly, as we continue to hear these stories, I see a pattern that fits our Washington state government, which is not constitutional. If they're making laws where there is no due process upheld, and they make the judges do that, I just read the oath, they support the Constitution. I want to know where that oath came from. That is a bond issue. We don't support it, we uphold it. This is not a corporation. The state is a governed state. So this is actually very, very bad if all of this is true and it comes together in a sense. And that is where our local legislators can start pushing our legislators at the state to do their due diligence, figure this out, call for an RCW 44.16, which is an investigative legislative inquiry. Oh, no, we can't because our senior leader won't. Gentlemen, we need to understand our Constitution to understand what a republic, a representative form of government is. That is our supreme law of the land. And as far as what Mr. Dockstetter said with the city, I think the city needs an audit, a deep audit. We have 2 or 3 businessmen that are councilmen, and then we have the manager. And I think those businessmen need to do a deep dive, look where they can make it lean, take cuts. They got a gal that's doing the streets for what, $250,000, $280,000, asking for a 4% increase. Does that woman serve me? No. They need to get a control of this. The other thing they do not have is code enforcement. They have 2 people. I have goats, chickens loose on my street in Court Street, and then dogs being hit and killed from one family who probably didn't do a proper permit to hook up to a sewer system. And nothing's done. There needs to be harsh code enforcement so that there's revenue coming in and people are getting the notice that to live in Pasco is a privilege and a responsibility to our neighbors. I myself have gone and talked to this family multiple times in kindness and gentleness. I know that you don't think I'm maybe capable of that, but I really am. Once I get to this point, I've done it probably 20 times. They let their water run out the end of their hose and just leave it running for hours. It seeps over the property into my kids' brand new house, onto their foundation. The city needs to do an audit, a deep audit, and get lean and mean and get proper. I can't get anybody to answer the phone over there. And furthermore, they're starting to renege on the support for their left one. They promised they would help pay those bills. Now they're nitpicking every single thing, and I know that because my husband is on the board. 31 years. Who's going to help him pay his bills? After Ferguson took our retirement.
Yeah. Do you want to recess? Or do you want to recess, or do you want Mr. Baumann to take over the meeting?
That would be up to Commissioner, but I know that we were without legal counsel as well. Okay.
All right.
Then we can continue if you'd like.
That's fine with me, if that's good with you guys.
Okay.
We'll continue with public comment. If you have public comment, please come to the mic, and you would have 3 minutes.
Mitch Snow, Pasco. I just want to clarify. We appreciate the support from the public that we've gotten, but we haven't solicited it. Thank you, Kat, and others that have gotten up here to speak, to give some details. What we've been trying to describe to you all is we've got a serious problem in our courts, an extreme immaturity and a lack of integrity. We have criminals that are on the bench. I don't mean small criminals. We've been doing our research. We found judges that have not just DUIs, they've been convicted of shoplifting, Medicare and Medicaid fraud, dealing with foster care children. We all know what that's about. And yet they're sitting on the bench covering up their stories while they're coming after veterans like me. I do appreciate the sentiment that we give to veterans. I also am a bit insulted when it's used to stereotype veterans as having problems. That's been used against me prolifically to gaslight me in many ways, to ignore the fact that crimes are being committed against me. Now I'm even witness in another case with Marcy there, where you have a judge who has taken personal resentment towards her complaints because she caught that judge in impropriety and has sent a city councilman and a newspaper owner to stalk her, present false evidence, break seal on her case. That's stalking, that's impropriety, there's all sorts of issues there. That's her case. I've been dealing with that for 10 years, where they have been going after my benefits, trying to come up with reasons, like she said Pickett's done. They want everything and they want to silence me. And they're doing it directly now by order under color of law to directly try to get me to not be able to speak to law enforcement. Not just about the crimes being committed against me, but about the crimes they're committing to send people to commit crimes against me. This is now on record and in transcript going forward. We'll go to appeals. We're doing all the right steps. The CJC is worthless. So is the bar. It's filled with their friends and family. We've got no outs. But I do know perjury, subordination of perjury, corruption, this kind of stuff. These are felonies in our state. They're supposed to be enforced by a prosecutor, a sheriff, police. And those judges, they can go ahead and go to a court, just like they make everybody else do, to explain themselves, just like everybody else has to. Why that's not happening, I don't know.
Thank you, sir, for your public comment. Is there anybody further for public comment?
My name is Melissa Good, and I'm a member of this community. And I'm only here just because I want to create awareness for parents and families about what really goes on in our schools and our community, unfortunately. So I'll continue on. My daughter's father and I went down and spoke with the administration at the school the following morning after this violent incident occurred in the parking lot. And we were made aware, like I had already stated, there was gang affiliation involved with these two students. Now, my daughter is, she's an honors student, never in any trouble, either at school or outside of the school, great kid by all accounts. And here you've got these two bullies, these troublemakers that have figured out that due to their race and sexual orientation, evidently, that they can now utilize laws that were put in place to protect people from undue discrimination to their own benefit. Basically, warping it and gaining benefit to act like little criminals in school and be bullies and instigate and commit physical assaults that are completely uncalled for. I asked the administration, what's the beef? What's the situation? What did something happen with my daughter? Oh no, these kids are just bullies. One of them did state that she clicked her pen in class, and that was irritating. That's the big beef for committing verbal assault that led to another individual's physical assault who defended her. So we're then told by administration, you might want to consider transferring your daughter out to another school for her safety. And I said, well, what about her right to attend school in peace and safety, and her right, her basic fundamental right to just get an education in public school without having to fear for her safety? That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all, evidently. Nope, these kids are in a privileged class. So there's nothing we can do. Our hands are tied. We're so sorry.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody further in the room for public comments? Seeing nobody further coming forward for public comment, is there anybody on the phone? I don't believe that we... Do we have anybody on the phone that you're aware of? Thank you. We'll close public comment. Excuse me. I don't believe we have need for executive session.
No.
No need for executive session. Is there any other business for the good of this county?
None here.
With that, this meeting is adjourned.